Hi everyone, welcome to my channel. In today's video, I'm going to be unboxing and giving you my thoughts on this game called Blossoms. This was a blind buy for me at my friendly local game store. My husband and I went there and I saw this and I had not heard of it before, and the artwork kind of drew me in, and the fact that it was a two-player only game. I really like getting two-player games. So I don't know anything about this game, have never heard of it. I don't even know, I've never heard of this Rebel before, the company. So we'll see. I don't typically buy games that I haven't researched. So I'm gonna unbox it, see what the components are like. My husband and I are going to play it a few times, and I will be giving you my thoughts. So opening it up, you have your rule book, and I think this is a fairly simple game, so the rule book is not very long. And then you've got your cardboard pieces here, and some cards. I opened up the cards, and so there's some flowers. It's really pretty artwork. Yeah, and there's nothing super fancy about the finish on the cards. It's just kind of a nice feel. It actually kind of reminds me of the Dominion cards, how those cards feel. So if you're familiar with Dominion, it's kind of like that. But yeah, and let's see, the back just has that. But they are nice. They are kind of this larger size. Not your typical deck size card. Let's see. That pops out really well. So push that out. Yep, comes out good. And nice little cardboard. And then here's the inside. Okay, so we got Blossoms finally played. And before I get into my thoughts on the game, it was a blind buy, and I rarely ever buy games that I haven't done research for, because they cost money, and I really like to research and make sure that a game I buy is a game that I think I'm going to play with either my husband or friends and family. But I saw this one at our local game store, and I just loved this box art, and I liked the name. I mean, this whole thing just caught my eye. And then after reading the back, it kind of just looked like the type of game that we would enjoy taking places or just on a relaxing night when we've had long days at work, and it's card based. So yeah, so we finally played it. We played it 3 times, kind of did a best out of 3. I really enjoyed this game. I thought it was super fun. And it's definitely going to stay in my collection for sure. So I'm just gonna kind of go into the things that I liked about it, and I can see there being a couple kind of negatives, but let's just start with the positives first. So first of all, the artwork is beautiful. If you saw in my unboxing of it, you can tell that the cards are really pretty. So there are 6 different types of flower cards. And what's really neat is, so while you're playing the game, you place the flower cards on top of each other. And so one card will overlap the other so that you never see a bunch of, the flowers don't get added and make more. Instead, it's just slowly growing taller and taller. But what I thought was really cool is all the flower cards with the same type of flower aren't necessarily the same. So if you can see here, this one has a butterfly on it, but then this card does not. There's just like tiny little details that we noticed while we were playing that was really cool. Here's another example. So again, this is this flower that doesn't have anything on it, but if you look closely, there's a little white butterfly on this one. Just really fun. It's cool that they added just that little bit of detail to make it different. And that adds a lot to the game, in my opinion. It just means that they kind of, it's that attention to detail. And I think it's more fun to have something like that than to have them all look exactly the same. So I thought that was really cool. Overall, it's a very quick game. Gosh, I bet all 3 games we played in about 45 minutes. It's really easy to learn. I thought the rule book was super easy to understand, and what is also cool about the rule book is they have some variants in the back. So they have a variant for a longer game, which that's what we ended up doing. So it says that instead of playing just 1, you can play best out of 3, but we typically, when we do best out of 3, it's, you know, if he wins 2 and I only won 1, then he won, you know, the whole round. Well, this one is keeping track of your points, so whoever scores the most points after 3 games is the winner. Had we played the other way, I won 2 games and he only won 1 game, but the second game he just like destroyed me and got so many more points. And so in the end, even though I beat him twice, he ended up beating me by points, and that's what the longer variant says. They also have a 3-player variant, because this is a 2-player only, but there is a 3-player variant that looks super easy. What else I thought was neat is they have a variant for playing with children, and it's just taking away one minor little action that you don't use with children. So I thought that was kind of cool, but I liked that they added some of those variants into the game. Now, gameplay was really fast. So this is how it'll be set up, and you'll put these flower pots out with 4 flowers to start in the pot. You don't want any of the flowers to be the same. You have a draw pile, and then each player starts with 2 cards, and they also get their special action tokens. And 1 card gets discarded randomly from the deck so that you don't know which one is not there. And all you do on your turn is you have to draw first. And so, for example, right now I drew, this is called the growth action, because you're supposed to be growing your flowers. As you can tell, this one doesn't match. So this would be a huge bummer. This did happen to me several times throughout the games. This is called bad luck. And so I automatically have to discard it, and it's the next player's turn. So let's say it's my husband's turn. He goes, this one matches here, so I can right away add it to the pot. And then he could play a card from his hand. So these are his cards. So he could, this is called planting, if you choose to plant. So obviously this one's not there, so he couldn't do that, but he could do this red one if he wanted to plant a card. Or he could keep drawing. So this is kind of what we tended to do, and this is the press your luck part. So, and if that happened, then pretty much it's like you best and his turn's over. So there's 3 ways your turn can end by doing that, exactly what I just showed you. If you decide to cut, so maybe he's like, I'm gonna take these. So if you cut a flower, all that means is you get to take all the cards that were in that pot, and you get to place them in front of you in your play area, and these will score you points at the end of the game, and they stay in front of you. So because he has 2 of a certain type of flower, that would score him 1 point. The most you can get is 6. So obviously you're trying to hope for 6 to get you 15 points. But there's that press your luck, is how do you want to keep going, because you could possibly bust and your turn could be over. So once you cut, you're done. It's the next player's turn. You can also pass. If there's not anything else you want to do, you can pass. One other thing is these special action tokens. So on your turn, you could say, so let's say he did not cut this, and he says, I'm going to put this here. What this means is on my turn, I cannot cut this flower even if I wanted to, and because he pretty much is calling dibs on it. So I'm not able to cut it at all. And then when his turn comes back around, he will first off do the growth phase. A bunch of bad luck there. And then, now if that happened, he's SOL. His turn would be over. But let's say that didn't happen. Okay, so he was able to get this one and add it to this pot. Now he removes this from his flower pot, And these all have individual actions. So this one's called the pruner. So the pruner, what that means is you get to draw a card from the deck, but you don't show it to anybody. Because typically when you draw from the deck, it always goes to a flower pot. So he just gets to put it in his hand, and that would be his. The watering can allows you to add a card from your hand to the bottom of any flower without it having to be a matching flower. So you're pretty much getting more flowers into, and you'd want to do that if you're trying to score one of those flowers. The fence allows you to, if you get bad luck on your turn, you get to ignore it one time and you get to keep going. So that was a really nice one that we enjoyed having. And then the rake lets you pick 3 cards from the top of the deck and rearrange them however you want and then put them back. Again, that was another really good one, especially if you wanted to keep going and you knew what 3 were coming up. That was a nice one. So if you decide to use one of these, you only get 3 for the whole entire game. So once you've done it, let's say he did this, it goes to me. I can't cut this no matter what because he pretty much has called dibs on it. I go, then it's his turn again. This gets completely removed out of the game and he no longer has that. So now he's down to 2. And so you kind of want to choose when you want to use those, because once you're out of them, you don't get them anymore. And if you are the last person to take a turn and you have 1 remaining, you right away get to put any cards that you had in your hand, you get to add them to a flower that doesn't match. So you pretty much, you get to use the watering can action. And so I would get to go like this, and then I could cut this for more points because now I added a 3rd card to my flower pot. So that's kind of the whole entire game. The game ends when there's only 1 card remaining in the deck. And if you were the starting player, you take your turn, but the other player gets to go 1 more time. They just don't grow. They can do all the other actions, and then also, like I just said, if they had 1 more of these, they can do what I just showed you guys. And then you'll just tally up your points. So for however many you have of 1 set of flowers, you get these points. And then for however many different types of flowers, you get 1 point for the different types. So let's say I had this flower and this flower and this flower in front of me in a set. Because I don't think my husband and I ever just got 1. I don't even think, yeah, you don't want to get 1. You want to at least get 2, because 1's not going to get you anything. So I would get 1, 2, and 3 more points because all 3 of those are different flowers. Also, one more thing to add is you can never have more than 6 cards as 1 flower. So if you were to get the 7th one, and there were 6 here, you would get bad luck because you can't put 6, and then you would end up having to discard that whole entire flower, and nobody would get to score those 6 points, or the 6 card points. So that's kind of how to play. So let's go back to my thoughts. Okay, so I just enjoyed it. I liked that it was a quick gameplay. I liked that the artwork is really, really pretty, and it's really pretty to look at. It was different enough from other games that I own that I feel like it has a spot in my collection. It reminded me a bit of Herbaceous, kind of the scoring aspect of it. The whole game is trying to get sets of flowers, so it's a set collection game. So was Herbaceous, but for this one, I think it's kind of more fun to play this with more than 2 people. It was fun for my husband and I, but I definitely kept it. Whereas this one is definitely a really good 2-player game. I mean, it's meant to be a 2-player game. So if I'm going to play with my husband, I'd probably pick Blossoms over Herbaceous. But they're different enough that I want to keep them in my collection because this one's a good one to bring out with more people. This one plays up to 4. Now, what else was fun about Blossoms is there's a press your luck element to it. So you can keep drawing from that main draw pile and adding it to a flower pot. But if you keep drawing and there aren't any flowers that match the flowers in the pots, then that's called bad luck and your turn is over. So there is a press your luck, which I can see that was gonna kind of be probably my one negative, is some people won't like that aspect of the game, and that happened to me quite a bit. While my husband was just like action, he's taken tons of different actions within his one turn and not busting pretty much at all. And I'm just sitting there going, really? But it didn't bother me so much because it's such a quick game. It's so fast that, and it's not like a heavy thinky game, so it's not like I've spent a lot of energy into planning this huge strategy to win. And so it didn't bother me. And it didn't bother my husband either. Like, most of the time we're kind of laughing like, oh, you got that again? And, you know, and we were just kind of chuckling about it. And then we were both kind of, you should draw another one. You should just do it. So we're trying to like get each other to keep going so that one of us busts. But I found it to be fun, but I could see where that could be a downside to the game for sure. But we also like press your luck type games. And it was pretty thematic too. I didn't necessarily feel like I'm really planting flowers by all means, but their terms and everything made sense. For me, Blossoms is a keeper, and I'm really happy I ended up picking it up. I want to say I paid about $20 or $21 for it at my friendly local gaming store. I have not checked it out online. If I find it on Amazon, I will link it below. I really enjoy the game, and I would recommend it if anybody out there is just kind of looking for a really simple, quick, fun card game that you're okay with some luck involved. That's like good for taking to a restaurant or camping, or you know, just kind of a date night, or just wanting something to relax and chill. This is a good one. Or even introducing to someone who, you know, isn't familiar with a lot of these games. This one was really easy to pick up. So I could totally see us wanting to bust this out after work one day. So we liked it. We're keeping it. And yeah. Okay, well, I appreciate you watching this, and I hope you're having a great day. I will talk to you later. Bye.